President Trump feeling pretty confident that Republicans will come up big in the midterms. Here's my exclusive interview with the President of the United States. Here we are, just about 3 weeks, actually 3 weeks exactly today from midterms.
That's right.
What's your prediction?
Well, first of all, it's very exciting. Second of all, I think we're going to do really well. And I don't want to make predictions. I know that my poll numbers are terrific, although if you watch certain cable stations, they try and make them look less than they are. But we have great poll numbers. We have tremendous turnout at these rallies, thousands and thousands of people, more than we can hold. In every case, I mean, there's no case where that doesn't happen. There's enthusiasm like we had at, in the last election, 2016, which was quite a spectacular day and evening. I think we have a lot of enthusiasm. I keep hearing about the enthusiasm, the blue wave, but I think we have tremendous enthusiasm. I think Justice Kavanaugh, the way he was treated, he's an outstanding human being, an outstanding man of great accomplishment, and the way those Democrat senators treated him was horrible. Was horrible by any standard.
Were you shocked
The
at
leaking,
that?
the lying, the disgusting things they were saying to him, the false accusations that were made. The third one, this lightweight Avianti bringing up a person using gangbangs and everything else. I mean, the stuff that was said, and this man didn't even know what they were talking about. It was a disgrace to our country. And I'll tell you what, since that, we've been energized anyway, but we're more energized since Justice Kavanaugh. And now he is Justice Kavanaugh. We're proud of it, too. He's going to be a great one. And I really think that had an impact. But even before that, we had tremendous energy. So I think we're going to do well. Now, who knows? I mean,
but a lot of that energy
history
is for
says
you,
the opposite. You know
right?
that.
Yeah. No, but a lot of that energy is for you. So when you go and there's tens of thousands of people showing up in one of these stadiums, they're coming to see you. How do you translate that into excitement for the candidates?
So I've had people come up to me and say, sir, I will never vote in the midterms because you don't like Congress. Actually, I like the Republicans in Congress. They have worked hard. We don't really have a majority. If you look, I mean, we have a majority by a vote. I always joke, if somebody had a cold, we no longer have. If they have a cold, we don't have a majority anymore. So I say, go out and vote. We need more Republicans, and we will win everything. We're getting the wall. We've already started building it. We're getting everything. But we are winning on so many different fronts. But we do need more Republicans. So history says, and this is why you asked the question, that whoever's president always seems to lose the midterm. But nobody had an economy like we have. We have the greatest, nobody reports better than you on that. We have the greatest economy that we've ever had. And numbers just came out today about job openings and everything else. I mean, it's incredible, record numbers. So there's never been a president with this. Yes.
Because your critics on the left would say, oh, no, that's just a result of President Obama's policies finally taking effect. What do you say to that?
Years later. If the opposition got into office instead of me, they're going to put more rules and regulations in. They were going to do things with taxes that would have been a disaster, raise taxes. They were all going to raise taxes. We were going to do many other things. So we had 4.2 last month, last quarter. And everybody said that's impossible because the most it can go is 2 and, very slowly, but it would never be up to that number. We had 4.2. Had the opposition gotten in, you would be at minus 4.2. You would be so low, you would have job numbers that would be so bad. You would have companies leaving this country, which they were flowing out of the country. Now they're flowing into the country. They're all wanting to be back in the United States, in America. And whenever I hear that, I say, isn't that sad that they can get away with it? That's the opposition. And they say, well, he helped. He didn't even help. We had the slowest recovery in history, or I guess since the Depression, since the Great Depression. And we were heading down. Take a look at the early numbers, like the early numbers or the late numbers for him. We were heading down 1% GDP. We were going down, and we were going down fast. So when I hear that, and when professionals hear that, they laugh, even professionals from the other side. We opened it up, and it's great.
Yeah. Well, that's, look, the economic accomplishments are significant. And a lot to be proud of, and I think people are feeling better about things. That said, there's a lot of division right now.
Yes.
And you now have people on the left almost calling for more of it. I mean, Hillary Clinton saying that we can't be civil. The left cannot be civil right now until we, take back effectively the government. Now, fairly or unfairly, you as the President of the United States have a lot of responsibility in terms of trying to restore that civility.
It's true. That's true.
How do you do it?
Well, it's got a big setback with Justice Kavanaugh. #1 at Yale, #1 at Yale Law School, just like this person. And when you heard the horrible things said, you had to become somewhat aggressive, let's say. But Hillary's a very dishonest person. If you look at the things she says, I mean, they're so dishonest. And she was dishonest during the entire campaign, whether it was 33,000 emails that were deleted that so far nothing has happened with, which is very disappointing from the standpoint of this Justice Department. Very, very disappointing, I will tell you. But you look at all of the tremendous dishonesty, and it's got to be cleared up. We're going to get along. I think the economy is going to clear a lot of things up when people are really getting the jobs they want. But we have a tremendous, powerful base, the Republican Party. And they have to know that going out for the midterms is very important. It's almost like going out for the 2020 election that's coming up in the not-too-distant future. Isn't that incredible that we're already talking about that? But there's tremendous enthusiasm for that, tremendous. And I really think, again, there's tremendous enthusiasm for the midterms. We'll see. We'll see. If the enthusiasm's there, which it should be, it really should be, because they'll take away your tax cuts. They'll put rules, regulations. You'll start losing jobs. This would be a terrible thing for the country if that happened. But we'll see what happens. I think we're going to do very well.
And the economy could restore civility.
I really think the economy is going to bring people together because people are doing better now. African American unemployment, the best ever. Asian American, Hispanic American, women, everything, every category. I mean, whether you look at median income, whether you look at employment or unemployment, no matter what chart you're looking at, it's either ever or 50 or 60 years. The best numbers. It's probably the best economy we've ever had.
So you mentioned women. Let me ask you about that because women, a lot of women are effectively the CFOs, right, of their family. They're paying the bills and they're keeping the trains running on time with the family. And they want financial prosperity. They want security. Right. Things that you're offering.
That's what I'm about.
If you look at the poll numbers, they're not liking you. So how do you overcome that right now?
Well, #1, I had worse poll numbers when I went into the last election, and you saw how well I did with women. I mean, if you looked at my poll numbers going into 2016, you would have said, there's not a woman in the country that's going to vote for me. And I did phenomenal with women. In fact, that was one of the reasons, probably the reason I won in a true sense. Now, I also did better with Hispanics than they predicted. I did better with African Americans than they predicted. I guess I did better with the men. Stay with me. I don't know why. But with the women, they want security and they want financial security too. Look at 401ks. So let's say we have a really bad time in 3 weeks from now. Your 401ks are going to go down tremendously. People are going to lose wealth. If they don't go out and vote, then they have themselves to blame because they'll lose wealth, tremendous amount. I built up $11.7 trillion in wealth. You report on it. And if you look at China, by the way, they're down about $25 trillion in the last 5-6 months since I started going into what I have to do, which is straightening out the unfair balances.
What is the end game there with China?
To make a deal or to not make a deal.
What would that deal be? I mean, what would that look like?
Look, right now, I've put tariffs on $250 billion worth of products, right? Nobody's feeling that. There's no inflation or anything in this country. Everyone will say, oh, there's good, but there's no, I mean, the inflation's very low.
Oh, Jay Powell might think there's a little
my biggest
inflation.
threat is the Fed, because the Fed is raising rates too fast, and it's independent, so I don't speak to him, but I'm not happy with what he's doing because it's going too fast, because you looked at the last inflation numbers, they're very low.
But you put him there. I mean, you think about Janet Yellen, and she was so dovish.
Can I be honest?
Yeah.
I'm not blaming anybody. I put him there. And maybe it's right, maybe it's wrong. But
what
I put
if he
him
gets
there.
it wrong?
I put a couple of other people there that I'm not so happy with, too. But for the most part, I'm very happy with people. Excuse me?
Well, if he gets it wrong and he misses...
Look, he's being extremely conservative. Let me use a nice term. He's being extremely conservative. The problem is we are just having record numbers. You know, when they try and compare what I'm doing with Obama, Obama was working off 0 interest rates. I'm working off real interest rates, almost normalized interest rates. That's a big difference, and my numbers are much better. But you take a look. You can't compare zero. Give me 0 interest rates right now, and you take a look at our numbers. It'd be the greatest economy in the history of the world. Nobody would be able to compete with it. We're paying a lot of interest. Yeah. And I think we're paying too much, to be honest with you, but it was so strong. And he's doing it because the economy is so good, because the economy is so strong. So we'll see how that all works out. I'm not happy with it.
If he gets it wrong, would he be out of a job? I mean, if he starts hiking rates at a time when we really don't have
for
that much inflation.
another 4 years, 5 years. So, look, I am not happy with what he's doing. I will tell you that. Because inflation... And I fully get the whole thing, the Federal Reserve. I get it as well as any president who's ever been here. I get it really well. But right now, that inflation's not here. If we start to see it, then you start to go and you do what he's doing. But in the meantime, I'd like to pay off debt. I'd like to do other things and pay interest. Well,
we got a lot of it.
We do, and we're going to start reducing costs now that we took care of our military. We had to take care of our military, but we're going to start. You'll see that very soon. We're going to start reducing costs. We have such fat in the government, but I wanted to take care of our military. You have to understand that Democrats have programs that are a total waste of money. But in order to get the military, $700 billion and $716 billion, I had to do it because President Obama starved the military. He didn't give them raises. He didn't give them anything. I gave them a 10% pay increase. They haven't had it in a decade. We gave them an increase. That's a big thing. I had to do it, not that anybody's wanting to, although I did because I love the military, law enforcement, the military. I gave them a raise. But I'm also building brand new planes, all made in America. I'm building brand new ships. We're building missiles and rockets, and we're fixing our nuclear, and we're going to be in tip-top shape. In order to get $700 billion and $716 billion 2 years, I had to give the Democrats some stuff that I would never give to anybody. So they're very negative on the military, and they're very negative on law enforcement and the border, and I don't see how they win elections that way.
Breaking tonight, President Trump speaking with the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, who denies all knowledge of how or why Washington Post columnist Jamal Khashoggi was killed. This phone call happening after my sit-down with the president. Now, earlier today, I had asked the president what he plans to do about this atrocity. So now, part 2 of my exclusive sit-down with the President of the United States. Watch.
Turkey and Saudi Arabia are looking at it very strongly, and it depends whether or not the king or the crown prince knew about it, in my opinion. Number one, what happened, but whether or not they knew about it. If they knew about it, that would be bad. If they didn't know about it, bad things can happen. You look at what they're doing in Iran. Don't forget, Saudi Arabia is our partner. They're our ally against Iran and against missiles and against what they're doing, trying to take over the Middle East. And by the way, since I'm here, not succeeding. They're heading down the tubes if you look at what's going on. So Saudi Arabia, and they have, I can only say, I've been here for almost 2 years, they've been a great ally to me. To me. They're investing tremendous amounts of money. They're fighting terror. Now, with all of that being said, you can't do what we've been reading about. But we're going to learn a lot about it. Now, one thing I have to say, because you cover business so well, they made the largest order in the history of our country for outside of our country for weapons, for any kinds of military weapons, missile systems, ships. They're buying
from us.
From us, $110 billion they're purchasing. It's 500,000 jobs, American jobs. Everything's made here. Okay, so now people say, well, we want to have you end that order. Well, aren't we just hurting our own country? Because here's what's going to happen. They're going to say, hey, America won't sell us the missiles. We'll buy them from China or we'll buy them from Russia. Ours are better, much better. They'll say America won't sell us the ships, America won't sell us the arms that we need. What we'll do is we'll buy them from Russia, China, and there are some others, France. You know, there are
and
some
so they benefit financially, and they might then have a more strategic relationship, too, with those countries.
You have senators and congressmen say, oh, if they did that, we should punish them by not selling them equipment. Well, if we don't sell them the equipment, they'll buy lesser quality equipment because we make it's so much better than anybody else. But they'll buy it from Russia, they'll buy it from China. So we're not really hurting them, we're hurting ourselves. So we want to be smart. I don't want to give up a $110 billion order or whatever it is. It's the largest order ever given by an outside country, okay? And I don't want to give that up. You're talking about jobs. What I'm doing, we've created an incredible economy. I want Boeing, and I want Lockheed, and I want Raytheon to take those orders and to hire lots of people to make that incredible equipment.
Well,
you understand?
Yeah, no, I get it, but it's complicated stuff, and you're looking at jobs here at home and a lot of money for American companies versus what certainly seems as pretty atrocious. Now we don't know everything, but
we don't know.
I mean these are the decisions that you face as president.
Let's hope we hear the proper answers.
You mentioned Jeff Sessions earlier.
Yeah.
We haven't heard a tremendous amount about the Mueller investigation recently. I imagine we're going to hear more after midterms.
Well, let me just tell you. First of all, there was no collusion. There was no Russia. Do you think I'd call Russia? I need help in Idaho. I need help in Iowa. Oh, let's call Russia. It's a con job, just like so many other con jobs that you've been seeing. It's a total con job. It's a disgrace that they were allowed to do it. This was the Democrats losing the Electoral College, which they should have won easily. I had to run the whole East Coast. They lost, and they come up with this excuse. We lost because of, let's see, Russia. Yeah, Russia. I didn't make one call to Russia. The whole thing is so disgraceful. So it continues. It's a witch hunt. It's nothing more than a witch hunt. And most people get it, including Democrats. They wink at me. They look at me, they wink at me. The Democrats get it too. But we'll see what happens. It just continues onward. And Jeff Sessions should have never let it happen. He should have never recused himself. I mean, here's a man recused himself. Why wouldn't he say, I'm going to recuse myself? I wouldn't have put him in that position.
But he's in the position now. Is he going to stay in the position?
I'm not going to tell you that. We'll see what happens. But I think it was a disgrace. And by the way, my enemies, people that are on the other side, say for him to have taken the job and for him to immediately have recused himself is a disgrace. They say Trump is right about that.
Yeah. Do you think that in some ways Vladimir Putin is kind of getting what he may have wanted? And I say this because it almost didn't matter to the Russians who won, but it certainly mattered in that they wanted to create this this division, because it's harder as a country, right?
Yes, because our Justice Department and FBI played right into their hands with this stupid investigation, or whatever you call it. People say I'm not under investigation. You know, I'm not a target of this investigation, which nobody ever likes to say. But it played right into their hands. Because if they want to sow, they use the word sow chaos. Sow chaos. They got it for nothing. They didn't do it. They got it for nothing. We did it to ourselves. The chaos, the stupid chaos. Now, it hasn't been talked about for a long time because people don't believe it. Who's going to believe that I call Russia to give me help? And everyone does say, Richard Burr the other day, they asked him, he's the head of the Senate Intelligence, and they asked him, did you see collusion? No, I see no collusion. He just said that. They haven't issued their final report, but he said there was no collusion. As you know, the House, Devin Nunes, and they came out with a ruling there was no collusion. But Richard Burr, they asked him the other day during actually the floods in North Carolina, South Carolina, they said, what about this committee? He said, we have found no collusion. You know why? Because there is no collusion.
So collusion aside, I mean, the concern is that Putin and his folks over there in Russia, and maybe the Chinese are trying to do the same thing, are trying to tweak us, right? Oh, yeah. And they kind of like this division.
They're laughing. Because these people, not me, these people have played right into their hands. Assuming, I keep hearing they like to sow chaos. Sow, a word from Old English. They sow chaos.
Oh, we got some of that right now.
We put it. I mean, it's ridiculous. I believe that they laugh at it. Yeah, it played right into their hands.
So let me ask you
With that being said, nobody's been tougher on Russia. No president, at least certainly in the semi-modern era, has been tougher than I have. I gave weapons to Ukraine. Obama gave them pillows. Gave them pillows. That's what he actually gave them, pillows. He wouldn't give them any weapons. I'm the one that brought up the scam of the pipeline, where Germany is paying them billions and billions of dollars for natural gas. I brought it up. Nobody even knew about it. I mean, they knew about it, but nobody talked about it. I made it a big issue.
So your policy's been tough.
Well, look at my policies on energy. Yes. She wanted to put windmills all over the place, which don't work. I'm opening up our country to natural gas and to oil and to the kind of things. And
so I gotta ask you.
And that's competition for Russia.
Helsinki. You know, you've got a lot of criticisms, including from me. Full disclosure. You know, I wondered why you weren't tougher on Putin, but you've said you had a great meeting. You met with him one-on-one.
Trish,
what happened?
If I was tough, it's easy for me. It's easier for me to be tough. We had a great meeting with him before that. We had a 2-hour meeting, and then we had another meeting, I guess, with a lot of people, and they were great meetings. And it was very tough, but they were great
why were they great?
Let me explain. Then we had a press conference. So when I was very tough with North Korea, with Kim Jong-un, everyone said, oh, he's going to cause nuclear war. Well, we're doing great with North Korea, okay, as you understand. We're doing great. No missiles fired. We got back our hostages, everything. We're doing great. Everybody's saying he's too tough on North Korea. He's too tough. He's going to cause nuclear warfare. Okay? Look how it turned out. With Putin, they want me to go up and have a boxing match with him on stage. I was nice to him. I was nice to him. But what happened is when I walked off the stage, everyone said, oh, that was great. We're on the plane. All of a sudden, the fake news starts saying, oh, Trump wasn't tough enough. And let me tell you, if I was too tough, they'd say Trump was too tough. I could have a very good relationship with Russia. Having a good relationship with Russia would be a good thing, not a bad thing.
Did you tell him in that meeting?
This stupid investigation hurts us from having a good relationship. Don't forget, we're a great nuclear power, but so are they.
Okay.
And having a good relationship is not a bad thing.
Did you tell him in the meeting he's got to knock it off?
I told him. Well, let me just tell you what I told him. We talked about Israel. We talked about meddling. I said, no more meddling. If you did meddle, I said, no more meddling. To which he says, I didn't meddle, I didn't meddle. I said, no more meddling. You know, Obama said, knock it off. And yet Obama's talking to his second in charge. And he's saying, tell Vladimir I'll talk to him after the election. I mean, look, in terms of meddling, Obama was told in September, just prior to the election, that Russia was trying to meddle in the election.
Right.
He didn't do anything about it. He didn't even say anything about it. He only brings it up after the election. That should be your investigation. Why didn't he do something about it? Here's the good news. It didn't affect one vote. But Obama was told, and everybody agrees to that, but Obama was told before the election in September by the FBI about Russia and possible Russian meddling. You know what he did? Nothing. You know why? Because he thought Hillary Clinton was going to win, and he didn't want to do anything to upset that. And just to finish, the last thing that Putin wants now, I can tell you, is Trump. He'd much rather have Clinton, although I hope
China doesn't want you either, right?
Excuse me?
China doesn't want you either?
Oh, I don't think China's too happy with me, because we are winning with China. For the first time, a man named Pillsbury, an expert.
I know him, Michael Pillsbury.
I saw him, I think, on your show, actually. He said that China, for the first time, he's never seen anything like it. We're doing so well. And he said much more than that, but if I say it, you'll say I'm bragging. I don't want to do that. But we're doing great against China. We're doing great against Russia.
We're going to make sure that none of them interfere, right? That they're not interfering in midterms and they're not interfering in 2020.
Excuse me. I've done more having to do with the new election, the election coming up, than Obama ever did on 2016. Ever.
That's good.
I don't think he did anything. But ask Obama, why didn't he do something when the FBI told him about it? Because he thought Hillary Clinton was going to win.
Hey, quick question. 2020.
Right.
You're running?
Yes, 100%.
Michael Bloomberg might be running?
That's good.
Yeah?
Yeah, sure. I think it'd be easy. I think it'd be so easy.
How do you think
I don't think he'll get through. Well, I don't think he'll get through the Democrats.
In other words, he wouldn't be able to do anything in the primaries because of where the party's going?
I think the Democrats will eat him up. You know, you have a lot of people running. I'm hearing names that are shockingly bad, but they're nasty.
Avenatti?
I think that, I don't think he's a serious person. He's not. I don't think Avenatti, the lawyer, I don't think he's. I just beat him in a big case.
You did? By the way, you're going to have her pay the legal fees?
In fact, he has to pay me legal fees.
He does?
I don't think he has any money, but he and she have to pay me a lot of legal fees, and it's based on Texas. You're going to hold them accountable for that? Based on Texas law. I love Texas. Based on Texas law, where the legal fees are nice and plentiful.
And you'll hold them to that?
Are you serious? Of course.
I'm just asking.
Wouldn't you be disappointed if I said no? No, they'll pay a lot. But no, he's not a serious person. The Bloomberg is, but I don't think he'll do well. He may do it or he may not. But I don't think he'll do well. I think that I would know who. I have a pretty good idea who it is. I'm not going to tell you, but I have a pretty good idea who I think will emerge as a group.
Well, that's a tease.
Yeah, a little bit.
Come on.
Well, we'll have
give me a hint.
We'll have other conversations.